Welcome to the Look Who It Is podcast, where we sit down with artists to talk music, life, and all the stories in between. Now here's your host, Dane Engel.
Hey everyone, today I'm talking with Max, the singer, guitarist, and songwriter for the Nashville band Felix Tandem. We get into how he stole the band name off a gravestone, the whole Max versus Felix split in his head, DIY touring, and running what he calls Nashville's coziest house venue. Felix Tandem's new single, Hey Now, drops December 4th, so be sure to go spin that after you listen. Here's my conversation with Max from Felix Tandem. So, you're Max.
Hey, you're Dane.
And you're 1/3 of the band.
Yes.
And, okay, so, and the band is named?
Felix Tandem. Felix like
Tandem.
the cat, Tandem like the bicycle.
All right, and where'd that come from?
I actually saw it on a gravestone. I saw somebody had Tandem Felix as their epitaph on a gravestone in a cemetery in Providence, Rhode Island. And I was like, that's interesting. What does that mean? And I looked it up, and it's Latin for happy at last. And I was like, wow, that is a upsetting thing to put on your gravestone. But, flipping it, I was like, that's a kind of a cool stage name. So there's like the kernel of it. There's one half of the story. But part of the story also is, when I was in college, when I saw that gravestone, I was having a little bit of an existential crisis, like a lot of people do, about deciding to be an artist and making music and taking a non-traditional career path. And I sort of realized that there were these two halves of my brain. There was Max, who's me, who was sort of like the type A, plan, get things done. And then Felix, who is also me, who is a little bit more impulsive, reckless, like, let's make art and be weird. I gave them both names so I could like have conversations with myself in my head,
Mm-hmm.
And then I found sound design and digital performance art. And I was like, this is a fun realm in which I can kind of do both. And I realized that I was happiest when they were together, and I worked best when they were working together. So the name Felix Tandem was born. Yeah.
Do people refer to you as Felix sometimes? I'll be like,
I get
it's
that all
Felix.
the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All the time, which I don't really mind. It's like, it is, it's kind of a character on stage, but it's also very much an identity. It's kind of more of like a side of me that I, let loose, like, well, almost like a Jekyll and Hyde situation, rather than like a Slim Shady Marshall Mathers, where it's like, oh no, this is a character and that is not me,
Mm-hmm. Now, is it just in music or is it everyday life? Like, is it just when you're performing?
That's a great question. I think I try to let it, I try to, there's times when I can sort of like let it out and be weird. Like, I think it was like Hemingway said, write drunk, edit sober. I try to, write Felix, edit Max, I guess, if you will. It's a good way to try to stay creative. And I work in a creative field. I work in radio. So it's a great like brainstorming method, just to be like, there's no wrong answers, get something out into the wall, throw a bunch of spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks, and then sort of pick away the pieces from there and use your higher self to edit things down into like an actual palatable sense. Or thing that is, good for an audience, or good for your friends, or good to look at as a piece of art or whatever.
So where does this come from? Like when you write and stuff, where does your influences or your inspiration come from?
That's a great question. I feel like it comes from everywhere. I started playing guitar because of Guitar Hero, as did the bass player in my band, Cole. Both of us picked up Guitar Hero at a young age, and after beating it, we were like, we could probably do this for real, right? So I think a lot of my writing especially is that type of energy forward, that I'm like, would this be fun to play? And sort of keeping that in mind. If it's fun to play, it's probably going to be fun to listen to. I love the sonics of the 90s, of like that sort of like loud guitars, a little reckless, but people knew what they were doing, and there was sort of money behind the industry in a way that like records could sound good. Beck is a massive influence of mine. And similarly, like Beck's stuff is really weird. It is like a weird collage of sounds and genres and lyrics that don't totally make sense, that he sort of melds together into something beautiful and really catchy. So I love that. But in terms of like songwriting ideas, I work in morning radio, so I get up at the butt crack of dawn, and oftentimes I will pick up a guitar right when I wake up, and I have that sort of clarity of unclarity. The fact that it's 4:30 in the morning and it's dark out and I'm super groggy, I can just play guitar, and a riff will catch my eye or catch my ear because it's something that I wouldn't think to do in my conscious mind. I also steal a lot. I think stealing is a great thing for musicians to do. If you hear like a little motif in a TV show or a movie that you're watching, like think on that, bring it to your instrument, play around with it a little bit, and then bastardize it, slow it down, reverse it, change the time signature, change the feel. I love doing that too. I feel like it's a great way to just sort of get out of writing with the same 4 chords and write something that you normally wouldn't.
I find that a lot too. Like I'll be humming a song, or like I'll start off with a song, and then I'll end up like singing a different song that has like the same beat or the same time, like same time or the same
exactly
bass chords or something. And I'll be like, oh man, you could blend those almost perfect.
Yeah, which is great. I love I listen to a ton of radio, and oftentimes when I'm driving home, there's a station. I live in Nashville, and there's a station down here called WXNA that's all volunteer radio. And all the DJs are really weird, and they'll play whatever the heck they want. And so you tend to hear stuff that you have never heard before and will never hear again. And oftentimes I'll like hear something like that and I'll be like, oh, that's a really cool melodic idea. And I'll shut the radio off, and then I'll drive home in silence. And when I get home, I'll pick up my guitar and try to figure out whatever that melodic idea was. And over, the 10 minutes that I was rehearsing it and the 2 minutes that it took me to figure it out, it sort of becomes something else. And then I can turn it into a new song. Yeah.
What are some of your influences now, though?
What I've been listening to lately?
Yeah.
One of my favorite new bands is Viagra Boys. I love that there's like this dance punk revival that is coming back. I think they're super cool. I also love Cheek Face. I think we sound a lot like them, both in terms of our lyrics and our attitude. And we're a little bit like heavier and rockier, but I love them. I am a new music fiend. I'm like always listening to new music. So, my influences are constantly changing, but this year I'd say Viagra Boys was huge for me. The Water From Your Eyes record was really, really good. What else? Gorilla Toss's new album. Gorilla Toss is sort of like a synth punk band. I think they're awesome. They were actually the last band I saw live before COVID hit. And I'll give you one more for good measure. Joey Valence and Bray. They have a new album out called Hyper Youth. They're like Gen Z's Beastie Boys. They've only got 2 albums out right now. Their first one I loved like top to bottom. It was my gym album. It was my wake up album. It was my clean the house album. And their new album Hyper Youth is also really good. I'm also a big Beastie Boys fan, but JVB will make your booty go. So check them out.
Yeah. See, now I got all that. I'll get this down. I'll write them all down. I'll listen to them later. Yeah.
Please do. Let me know your thoughts.
What's something that somebody wouldn't think you'd listen to?
Tons of stuff. One of my favorite singles from this year actually was Kesha's Joyride, the lead single from her new album. There was something about I remember the first time I heard that song, I was at work. I work from home normally, but I do have an office downtown that I sometimes go into if I need to have like a power hour. But I remember looking up some new music and being like, oh, Kesha's new song. Let me check this out. And I put my headphones on, and I think I maybe started drooling at my computer. I was just like, the second this accordion starts, it's this like hypnotic, like breathy accordion thing. I think like Hypnotoad in Futurama, like my eyes sort of rolled in the back of my head, and I was like, I could not stop listening to this song. So Kesha's Joyride, that whole album was really fun. Boy Crazy is also a banger. But I am very genre agnostic in my listening. I'm all over the place. Lately, I've been on a big deep dive of like world psychedelia. So like psychedelic rock from all over the planet. I found this Brazilian guy named Tim Maia, who's like a psychedelic funk artist. I've listened to a lot of Terry Takeuchi and the Bunnies, which is a Japanese surf rock and synth and psychedelic band. So yeah, I listen to a ton of music. I tend not to listen to like the same thing twice, which is why it's hard to. Now, if we had this interview in 2 weeks, I would have completely different answers for you.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a snapshot in time then.
Yeah, exactly.
You can go back in a year and be like, oh yeah, and then you can go back and listen to those guys.
Yeah.
again.
Well, I think it's really because like you never know what's going to catch your ear and sort of infect your own songwriting, and so I think it's really important to sort of, I like using the phrase "eat your musical vegetables" and like listen to things that maybe you wouldn't normally, or that the algorithm doesn't tell you that you want to listen to. You know, seeking out weird stuff, going down rabbit holes and things like that, I think are really good. But yeah, for me, I mean, generally it's like a lot of guitar music, and then I love like campy pop. Love campy pop.
Do you feel like it's too much though? Like when you go to write your music and you have all this to choose from, and you're like, well, this song's going to have like 14 different time signatures and changes and stuff because you're trying to blend all this into something.
No, I yeah, that's funny. I tend to like, Kurt Cobain is a songwriting idol of mine, not to, like drop the big name, because I feel like, maybe a lot of people go straight there. But one thing that I really love about Kurt's songwriting is his songs from like a theory perspective are kind of weird, but they are still very palatable as like pop songs, like In Bloom and Drain You are two of like the weirdest chord progressions in like popular rock music that I can really think of. And they're still like catchy as hell. And I feel like everybody can sing those. That's something that I really strive for in terms of like, not making music complicated, I really, admire people who can do that. It's just, it's not something that I super enjoy. I love being able to dance around on stage and like have fun with things and feel things out with the band and sort of push and pull the rhythms a little bit as we're performing. And if, we were writing in like crazy time signatures and like weird key change and stuff, it takes away some of that freedom for me as a performer, I don't think there's anything wrong with, doing that. I admire, there's a lot of music that I love that is sort of mathy and weird. But yeah, for me personally, I'm just like, I love taking an idea, synthesizing it, sort of like digesting it, and then spitting it out as my own sort of thing, But oftentimes, to that point, oftentimes when I am writing, I will create like almost a mood board of music, where I'm just like, okay, here's like 6 songs that I feel like this sort of sounds like, and they'll sort of span decades and span genres. And that's really fun because we can sort of pull different production ideas from that, like not our next single, but the one after that, Overtime. I was listening to a lot of Spoon when we went in to produce that, and the John Lennon song I'm Leaving You, and sort of like picking apart, what does a Spoon song have, what that makes it sound spoony, what is up with this John Lennon song that sort of makes it sound like, like this song. Pulling different ideas from those gave us new ideas to do with our thing. So there's like a synth drone in the Spoon song, and we added like a string drone to ours to sort of feel that, I don't know, add an analog to that. A little bit of an homage as well, if you will. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, when I say steal, I don't mean like literally steal. I mean like take something, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again until it turns into something else. Yeah, I think it's super invaluable because why wouldn't, you don't have to create in a vacuum. Why not just, look at the people you admire and try to do what they do and then do it your own way.
So what's a typical, like, working with the band to create a song and finish it?
This is a new process for us. So I am the primary songwriter of the band. And up until recently, I had sort of written everything and demoed everything out on my own, just, with like MIDI drums. I play a little bass, and then I'll do like vocal layering. I'll work out my own production ideas and stuff like that. But recently I've been working on bringing things to the band earlier and in more unfinished states, which has been really fun. There's been a couple songs that have like sort of come out of rehearsals. There have been songs that have sort of completely changed as a result. And there have been songs that, ended up exactly like I thought they would. But typically what we do is I will come with like a little riff or a melodic idea, or maybe an A section and a B section. And then we will jam on it for a little bit. Normally we will sort of brute force a form that kind of sucks if I'm being totally transparent. It's just like, okay, yeah, let's write a B section, and we just vomit out a B section. And then we play it a couple times. We'll normally sit on it, and then, a rehearsal or two later, we'll come back to it. And just because once you get something out of your ears, it's a lot easier to be objective about it. There have been tons of times that I've wrote a chorus for something just to have a chorus, and I'm like, oh man, this is really garbage. And then I come back to it a month later, and I'm like, actually, no, this is a great chorus. Like, this has been stuck in my head. The fact that I have not listened to this for a month and I remember exactly how it goes, I think that means it's pretty catchy. Yeah, so we'll sort of flip-flop that way. And then once we have a form, we will play it, record it, all listen to it, and then really, like, hammer on the details. Where, the bass player will be like, actually, I think the drum fill should line up with my bass part here, and we should do, like, a unison thing. And the drummer will be like, it'd be really cool if you cut out there and it was just drums and bass. Or, hey, we need harmony there. And so we'll all sort of throw ideas at it from a performance perspective. And then once we have that, play it live typically, and recording a song will completely change it. I encourage any budding songwriters or bands to work with a producer who does not know your music, because they will be objective about things. They will tell you what's awesome, what needs to change. They will bring an invaluable perspective, and they will also, like, tune your ears in ways that you wouldn't expect, which has been really an incredible learning experience for me. Our producer, Tim Craven, is incredible, and I love working with him too. So work with a producer and trust your bandmates.
Does it now, from when you did it solo to now with the band, do you feel like it takes longer to make the song, or it's better to have more people helping you complete it?
I feel like there's a lot less pressure on me to make something perfect. Which has been really good for my mental health, I suppose, as a songwriter, in that, like, before, when I was writing, I would finish a song and then sort of, like, or I'd have an intro and a verse, and I would labor over the idea of a chorus. I'd be like, man, the chorus is really important. I need to bring this to the band. I need to write something really good so I can bring it to the band so the band is excited about this. And now, just by virtue of the band being there when things are written, it's a lot easier to A, get feedback quickly, and B, get excited about something. So, like, we have this new song that we started working on practice last week called Mori Memento, that I wrote a demo for like 2 years ago, maybe. And it was like a glitch pop, like, metal song. It was really weird, but the riff was cool. And the drummer, kudos to him, Andrew, last practice was like, hey, what about that riff? Like, can we work on that for a little bit? And I was like, okay, cool. All I had was a verse, some lyrics, and a riff. And as we're playing it, like, in the middle of playing, he just yelled, like, play a B section. And I did something, and at first impulse, I was like, oh, this kind of sucks. It sort of sounds like American Idiot era Green Day. It's like a little cliched. And then we just kept playing it and kept playing it and kept playing it. And I was like, no, actually, I think this is really good. I think this is actually what the song perfectly needs. We were able to sort of inject a cool rhythmic idea into it. So it wasn't just, the first impulse, but a refined version of that first impulse. So there's that, the Max and the Felix working together, just vomiting out the art and then refining it to make it a little bit better. Yeah.
What was it like writing your first song then and actually making it and putting it out for people to hear?
So our first ever single was called Shoplifter. I wrote it all by myself. I demoed it, and I was trying to sound exactly like Beck when I wrote it. Probably Garrow era Beck. It was supposed to sound like Girl. I had a little beep boop beep boop beep boop beep boop sort of synthesizer behind it, and I had this pulsing arpeggio going, like a dun 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 dun, because I was setting up my new speaker system, and I just needed something to make sure that all of my wiring was working as I was routing audio around my computer. And if you listen to the song Shoplifter, the whole thing is based around just a one chord pulse. It's just bum 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 bum. And then I was trying to do this Becky thing, so I had this little like chip tune arpeggio or descending lick on top of it that goes dee 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 dee. And I just sat with it and wrote that song in like 2 nights. About my mom doesn't like me telling the story, but my little sister got arrested for shoplifting on a family vacation. And I wrote this song about that, about sort of like misplaced bravado. At the time I was living in New York, and one of my close friends was working in a studio, and part of the perks of working there was he just had like 1 free day a month to bring in a band that he wanted. So me, a buddy from high school, and my friend Cyril, who engineered us, just like got in the studio, cranked this song out, and then my buddy Marcus mixed it. And I was like, all right, cool, this song is kind of fun, let's see if it goes anywhere. So we did our first recording session in February of 2020, and then we were supposed to have a follow-up to do vocals and stuff, and that was going to be on March 13th of 2020, and New York City went into lockdown because of COVID on March 12th. So we canceled the appointment, the studio day, and we were like, okay, I guess we'll do this over the summer at some point. And over the next 2 years, a lot changed. I moved to Nashville, I quit my job, I got a new job, and so I ended up like finishing that song in my bedroom in Nashville, kicked it over to Marcus to mix. And then I was like, yeah, you know, I'm friends with a lot of musicians down here in Nashville. I kind of want to just put a song out. We put it out. And one of the DJs on a local radio station, Lightning 100, loved it so much. He like debuted it a month early and then played it like 50 weeks in a row or something on his like local music show. So that was really cool. That was really validating. And it is like, I mean, it's not a huge song, but it is our big song. It's got like 15,000 streams or something, you know? But it's the one that like whenever we go on tour, people yell at us, which is always fun to, you know, to have.
Did you already know a lot of people in Nashville when you moved there?
I knew one person in Nashville. I moved here because I was living in Brooklyn at the time, and I was sick of living in a 10-foot by 10-foot studio apartment for $1,600 a month. And this guy was like, hey, I'm looking for a new roommate if you want to try out Nashville for a little bit. And I said, screw it. I'll do it for a year, and then I'll move back to New York when COVID ends. And I fell in love with it. Quit my job, met some really cool people. I fell in love with a librarian who is down here, and she's a government employee, so we're not leaving anytime soon. And now I have a dog. And yeah, I love it down here. So I took a risk moving down here and paid off tenfold.
So how did you find the rest of your band then?
So Cole and I met on Craigslist, amazingly. I put up an ad, and as you might imagine, the Nashville musicians Craigslist is quite active.
I bet.
And yeah, I just like put in some bands that I liked and was trying to sound like. The Beths was the big one that caught his eye because he's a massive Beths fan. And yeah, we grabbed coffee, and I was like, you seem super cool. And ended up totally hitting it off. And then we have had 3 different drummers. We have lost 2 drummers to fatherhood. Fortunately for them, unfortunately for us. But yeah, our first drummer, Sean, had a baby and moved to Pittsburgh. Our second drummer, Joel, had a baby and still lives in Nashville, but now doesn't have time for multiple bands. And our new drummer, Andrew, who's awesome, he used to play in another band that is local that I really liked. So really just being involved in the scene is a great way to meet people. And there's so much like band cest going on in Nashville too, especially in like the rock scene here, that there's bands that are made up of entirely different bands.
So how often do you play out?
We have been focused on recording this year. So we went on a tour back in February and March. We did like 16 days, which was awesome. Took a lot out of us. And then Joel had his baby, Cole got a new job, and so we sort of took some time off to focus on recording things. And now Cole's feeling better about his job. We've got Andrew on board now. So we're typically playing like once every 2 months out in Nashville, and we are planning on booking a couple weekenders early next year. Just like 3 or 4 day mini tours rather than, you know, another big kahuna 13-day run.
Yeah. Where'd all you go? Like, what was your path?
We went basically all the way east and then up to New York and back down. So like a little bit of a boomerang shape. We did, what did we do? We did Louisville, Charlotte, DC, Baltimore, New York on the way up. And then I think we did Philly, like Raleigh, Charlotte, Lexington or something on the way back. But sort of like a out and back sort of thing. And DIY touring is a lot. It's really fun, but wow, it's just a lot.
Who plans all this?
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do your research is the number one piece of advice I have for people who are aspiring to go on tour or book their own tour. Do your research. And what I mean by that is like look up bands, make sure that those bands are good, and actually care about the bands that you're reaching out to. Do some real research. Listen to like 3 or 4 of their songs and give them some real feedback on why you want to play with them. Hey, we're coming to Atlanta. I love your album, blah. This track is really great. It reminds me of blah. We're hoping to play at this band or this venue on this date. Would love for you to be in bill with us. You know, like really do the research. It makes as a musician, when someone does that to me, it just makes me all the more likely to want to help them out as maybe a performer or maybe just even as a connection to the scene. There have been tons of people who have reached out to me saying things like that. And I'm like, we can't play that show, but here's, my 7 favorite bands. I'll reach out to a venue for you. If everything falls through, like I run a little house venue, maybe we could host you, or I could put you in touch with some good people. Like contribute to the scene, because you are not going on tour for you only. You are going on tour for like the greater scene of the cities that you are visiting. If we're going to play a show in Louisville, Kentucky, it makes Louisville, Kentucky feel like a cool place to go see a show. And so we want to make the people of Louisville, Kentucky feel excited about seeing music in Louisville, Kentucky, Right. So like actually care about the venues and the people that you're seeing and be appreciative of whoever's putting you up. But yeah, do your research. Number one piece of advice.
What was your best show that you thought, and what was the worst?
Best show? Oh man, that's always hard because they're all. We very, very seldom have a bad show on tour because I do research. It's not like we're gonna end up in some dingy like dirt, like gross venue that treats us like garbage with like bad bands that are really rude to us. Like that has happened. Not on this last tour, thankfully. But like doing your research will prevent that. We had some really good shows. Man, what were the best ones? We played a show at Georgia Tech that I thought was going to be a disaster and ended up being really incredible. This house scene at Georgia Tech is really, really where all the music happens. And the night before, we had already left for tour. We played in Chattanooga. And the night before we were supposed to play, I got a DM from the organizer who was like, we don't know what we're going to do. The landlords have been like planning some coordinated attack on us and shut down all of our houses simultaneously. So like the venue and like the 8 backup venues all got nixed in one go. And so they were like, we're going to switch it around. We found someone who's willing to host it, but it's going to be outside. And this is mid-February, so it was like 35 degrees maybe. And it was like they ended up bringing like those big lamp heater things that you see at like restaurant patios. And I was like, oh man, this is going to suck. It's going to be cold. All of our instruments are going to be out of tune. My fingers aren't going to work. And the crowd was just so good. They were so appreciative, so nice, so fun. Like singing along when we have a couple songs that like we teach sing-alongs to. They were just great. At one point, our bassist was like headbanging and someone yelled, "Do you need a hair tie?" And I thought he said, "Can you play Airtime?" which is one of our songs that we don't normally play on tour. And I was like, whoa, you guys want to hear that one? And I was like, no, we're not going to. But then they just like did this whole, like they started chanting it for us. And because we played it and it was like a request, they were all dancing along. I don't know. It was so the energy was just awesome. I love a college crowd because they hunger for the new music, you know. In terms of bad shows, we didn't really have any bad shows on this tour. I'm going to be honest. The worst ones were like we played Baltimore like a Tuesday night. And it was only bad because it's a Tuesday night and it's hard to get people out. The bands were great. The people who were there were great. The venue was awesome to us. But yeah, we didn't have any like bummers of a show really, which was really great. All the bands that we played with were really good. But yeah, I mean, it's something that I learned from our last tour. Our last tour, which was the first tour we ever did. Some of it was like, I did not do my research. We ended up playing in a storage unit with this guy who charges $250 to play in his storage unit. Didn't have a sound system, so one of the bands had to go home and bring their own sound system. That sucked. But hey, lesson learned. Lesson learned.
Yeah, you wouldn't know if you didn't experience it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, everything that goes wrong on tour is a learning experience for your next tour.
How far are you wanting to take Felix Tandem? Like, are you wanting to make it a full time?
That is a great question. And it's something I've been really figuring out for myself recently. I turned 30 in 10 days. And I am like, wow, what does, you know, being a rock star look like for me in the future? We've got 3 singles that are done that are going to be coming out in the near future. I'm always going to keep writing. But the idea of, not to get too like lofty, the idea of commercial viability of a band is becoming less appealing to me as I get older. Because I'm going to put it this way. All of the people who I know who are doing really well in music are full-time content creators as well. And I do not have the energy or the personality to be like a big social media person, nor really the time or the know-how or the interest. And it's getting like the idea of making music is, especially with like AI and Suno and like Spotify, you know, annihilating payment plans and just making AI versions of artists too. Like the idea of having to work my ass off to try to beat an algorithm so that I can get views, so that I can maybe eventually get a record deal, is so unappealing to me that I think it's going to make me hate making music. And so I will never stop making music. I will probably never stop putting out music. The way that I do that will maybe change. Once these 3 songs are out, I mean, I'm still writing. I've got a bunch of stuff on the hopper. I have like 1,300 voice memos on my phone that I want to finish at some point, you know? Like, making music is a lifelong pursuit. I think for me personally, it's getting to a point where I want to go more anti-commercial with it and just write songs on my own, record them however I want, and just put them on Bandcamp for free. And just be like, hey, if you like music and you like my music, awesome. If you want to give me money for it, awesome. But like, don't feel pressure. I don't really want to ask people to like sacrifice a Wednesday and a good night of sleep to come see me play, you know, 30 minutes at 11 p.m. in a biker bar anymore. You know, I loved doing that grind. I just think I'm at a point where I'm just like, I just want it to be all about the music for me right now. And just like writing music and playing music, and the logistics around it is rough for me to wrap my head around right now. Again, this is an answer that might change completely in you know, a month. So we're going to do this Weekender, and it's going to be awesome. They're going to be revitalized again, and I'm going to get on this podcast with you again, and I'll be like, we're going to the moon, Dane. We're playing Madison Square Garden, and it's going to be lit. But, you know, right now it's like, it's cold months, and I'm like, I'm going to put out my music and then write some music, and then whatever happens, happens.
That happens a lot to me in my podcast. I'll do one, and then like I might not have one for a couple weeks, you know.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, man, I don't know if I want to keep doing this or not.
Yeah.
You know? And then I'll get on and talk, and then afterwards I'm like, that was great. I can't.
Yeah,
wait
you're so energized.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's great. Like, my partner and I host house shows. We've got like I converted our garage, and I floored it, and I soundproofed it and everything. And it's so funny. It's like 80% of the time, it's like, oh God, we have a house show tonight. I just want to like like watch YouTube and make a nice dinner. And then we have like 30 people over. The musicians are all great because it's Nashville and everyone's good here. The vibes are amazing. We bill ourselves as Nashville's coziest venue. So like everyone has a good time. It just feels like wholesome and good. And we leave and everyone's like massive smiles on their face. I'm like, wow, we did something magical tonight. This is amazing. Let's do this every day. So I don't know, it goes back and forth.
So you touched on AI, and I think you put a post out or something recently, or you have one of your songs or something coming out is based on something like that.
We don't have actually one of our songs that's coming out probably next spring has a lyric about how all of our friends are AI now. So let's just, it's called No Man's Land. It's one of my favorites to play on tour. We actually wrote it as a band at the beginning of this year and then debuted it on tour, and it went over super duper duper well. But that song's sort of about just like throwing caution to the wind and being like, I'm noping off the planet. I'm going to start my own society with all of my cool friends. And it's just going to be like weird and self-expressive, and everyone can do whatever the hell they want and not have to worry about it. It's sort of a throw caution to the wind song. I really love it. But the AI music thing scares me and upsets me a little bit.
I spoke to some other gentlemen, and they had a good point. They're like, it's having its run now, and I think it'll really kind of boom for a while, but then it'll start sounding the same. Like everything will it'll be vanilla. Yeah,
I agree with that. I think there's definitely an AI bubble happening right now in terms of just, like every company is pushing it. My bigger concern is not with like what the AI ends up sounding like, but more in how streaming services treat it and then how people relate to their streaming services. Like there has been so much backlash against Spotify over the last 5 years. I haven't been a Spotify user since 2020. And they seem to be one of the biggest proponents of AI. Like there was like that Velvet Sundown band or whatever that was racking up millions of streams, and they don't exist. And their new terms of use say that like anything you upload to Spotify, they're allowed to dump into their AI, and remixed now is like AI remixes seem like they're going to be a big thing. And the thing that concerns me is that if there is like the entire force and monetary backing of big streaming behind AI, like it's gonna win. There's so much bad music out there that is so popular only because people don't really care to look for whatever they want, and a lot of people will just rely on the algorithm. I think that's the thing that scares me the most about the AI music stuff, is it's just gonna get pushed, and then people's tastes adjust to it. That's the thing that scares me. Not to have like a total nihilistic perspective, but yeah.
How do you think that'll affect radio?
So like I said, I'm a huge fan of radio. And one of the things I love about it is the human curation. I love a DJ. I love a weird DJ. I love, like, even if they're playing stuff that is, programmed for them, having that little bit of personality makes me so much more willing to listen to a song, and knowing that it was picked by a person. So I think as long as there's still people picking the music, DJs do not exactly seem like the type to be like, oh, hey, I heard this great AI song the other day. Let me play that instead of this cool local band, like that has me really excited. And I hope more people turn to radio. The other thing is like the hit stations will be the hit stations, but like most successful radio stations, it feels like, are the Jack FM ones that are just like playing the hits, and then they just play Sweet Home Alabama and Sweet Emotion and whatever Boston, like it's like all like the 80s rock that is just like on a, now that's what I call dad music, and like that's fine, like AI is not gonna infiltrate that. But yeah, I think everyone should check out their local radio station, and kudos to all the DJs fighting the good fight out there. And the podcast hosts talking about new music.
Yeah, I see. I live very rural. I live out in the country, so I can pick up like three radio stations here.
Okay.
Two country, and one classic rock station.
Nice.
Yeah, so there is a college radio station that I can pick up sometimes, and they used to be awesome, and they'd play like alternative rock during the week, and then Friday nights they'd play hip hop.
That's awesome.
And
college radio stations are great because they're all over the place. Because similarly to this this volunteer station in Nashville, it's just like you got weird kids who are just putting on whatever weird music they want to hear, you know? And you're occasionally going to get sort of that echo chamber of like indie rock and whatever's popular right now. But like, that's cool. It's a good way to keep your finger on the pulse. I work for satellite radio, which you can get anywhere, as you know, well, anywhere in the United States and Canada. But that's also, you know, human DJs, which is really fun to, you know, get that curation. It's a great way to, you know, keep my finger on the pulse, keep hearing new things. And it's also, you know, to your point, it's a great way to learn about different genres as they're happening. Cause it's just like, oh, cool. There's the hip hop channel. There's the indie rock channel. There's the metal channel. There's the pop channel. There's the EDM channel, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have satellite radio, but when I used to, I'd find tons of new music on there that I'd never, that's probably when I got into heavy metal.
Nice.
And bluegrass.
Oh, cool.
The most, kind of random, but just because, you know, it's like, where else are you going to hear that on the rate, like on a regular radio, FM radio? Yeah.
Well, that's like, again, to that point, one of the things I love about the radio is it exposes you to things that you wouldn't otherwise, you know, as great as the algorithm is, and as like many awesome tunes as I've found and great bands that I found and stuff. Like I have so much more of a relationship with the music if I discover it myself, even if it's being shown to me, you know, like I've got records that I've gone crate digging for, and I bought it because it had a cool cover, and I'm like, oh man, actually I love this, you know, which is really fun. Yeah. Yeah.
So now living in Nashville and stuff, you play, like you said, it was a Tuesday night in Baltimore or something.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, but in Nashville, I mean, a Tuesday night's still probably pretty hopping, right?
Nashville is a weird town for original music, I will say. Like, we are a music city, but so much of the tourism around music is around covers. And a lot of the original musicians here are doing their own thing, right? So I remember after Joel had his baby, we were struggling to find a drummer, and all of my friends in like New York and Boston, all over the country, were like, what do you mean you're in Nashville and you can't find a drummer? Are you crazy? And I'm like, no, I can find a drummer. It is very easy to find a musician in Nashville. It is very hard to find a band member in Nashville. Somebody who's going to like sacrifice their Sundays to jam with you and then like play for no money just for the fun of it, you know? Like the Nashville rock scene, I would say, is like small but mighty. We're all kind of tight knit. A lot of people know each other, but it's still, you know, it's just like any other city. It can be hard to get people out on a weeknight. But yeah, I mean, we've played some really good shows on random nights of the week. We've played some really bad shows on weekends. So it's all over the place. Yeah.
You have a favorite place to play in Nashville?
Favorite place? We've been playing at this bar near me called the 5 Spot lately that I love dearly. It's just like, it's really nice. It's really clean. The staff is great. It sounds really good and it looks awesome. And it's in a great area. So there's a little bit of like a built-in audience that like people will wander in. It's just a cool bar. I love that. I mean, the basement is of course legendary. We've played there like 3 or 4 times. Love being hosted there. A lot of the small venues in East Nashville have just been like really good to us. And like all of them sound pretty good. All of them are like a great size for where we're at right now, that on like a good night, they feel really full. And yeah, like one of the fun things about Nashville that is, you know, a little bit of a double-edged sword is that because everyone's a musician, everyone's sort of listening to you like a musician. In that, like, sometimes it can be hard to engage with people like fans, because they're just like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, you know exactly what it's like to be up here. But in the same breath, they know exactly what it's like to be up there. So like people will give you your kudos and people will treat you very well if you are sort of a good hang, good at your instrument, and just being good at being a musician, like staying for the bands, thanking the sound person, tipping the bartenders, blah, 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 blah. And that's been like really gratifying to feel like a real musician in that way, to be like, oh, cool. Yeah. Like I fit in here. I can hang out with these great artists who can like play circles around me. But my songwriting is cool and they appreciate that. Yeah. So that has been one of the fun things about Nashville. Yeah.
Is there anywhere like you couldn't pass up living?
What do you mean?
To leave Nashville?
If I were to leave Nashville? Oh man, I don't know. I am born in New York, native New Yorker. My family's in the Boston area, and I lived abroad for a while. And I have put down roots in Nashville in a way that I never have in any other city I've ever lived in. And I am trying to like really embrace that and, be active in my community as a supporter and a performer. That's part of the reason why I started hosting house shows, is to make the scene feel alive in the ways that I can, other than just being a musician, because I'm not, like a big social media person and like trying to make it here and be like, no, this is going to revolve around me as a performer. And like, I'm going to make the Nashville rock scene feel awesome. Like, I just like going to shows. I play shows when I can. I try to help out people who come through town and just make it feel like a nice, laid back and fun place to play music and be a musician. I don't know if there's anywhere right now that is calling me and forced me to leave Nashville. I lived in LA for a little bit. I worked at a studio in North Hollywood, and that was fun, but it was really lonely. So I don't know what that would be like as, a soon-to-be 30-year-old who's a little bit more established. But maybe, who knows, maybe being a band out there could be really good for me. But don't really care to find out right now. Where do you live?
Indiana.
Nice. Whereabouts?
I live just west of Indy, about an hour west of Indianapolis.
Okay, cool. Nice.
So, out in the sticks.
Nice. We have not played Indianapolis yet, but it's on my radar. Something that I would like to do someday.
Oh, they have some really good, like, indie band venues there.
Cool. Yeah, I think one of the routes that I want to do is, like, go north and do hit Kentucky again, because they've been pretty good to us. Try Indy, and then someplace in Ohio, like Cincy or Columbus, I think would be fun too.
I was in Cincinnati this last weekend. And
nice.
Man, it's nice. I hadn't been there in a while, and yeah, it's cool. It's like just starting to get into like the mountains and stuff.
Oh,
and
cool.
It's right on the river, so it's a pretty cool place.
Oh man, that sounds up my maybe I changed my last answer and I want to move to Cincinnati.
Yeah, I talked to a band from Lexington,
Kentucky,
and I guess there's a huge punk rock scene in Lexington.
Yeah, what were they called? Do you remember?
Yeah, Small Steps.
Small Steps. I don't know if I know them. Yeah, Lexington was cool. We played University of Kentucky, which is our tour kickoff show our first tour. And man, that was maybe some of the most fun I've ever had on stage. Actually, it was like not a frat. I guess it was a frat party, but it was like the band frat. So they were all musicians, and it was on Friday the 13th. So they decided to have a costume party. And so everybody is like in these weird ass costumes in this sweaty basement. And we're just like playing our loud rock music. And I remember, right in the front row, there was these two guys dressed as, the orange robot from, I think it's called Brain Pop. Is that what it's called? It's like a kids learning thing. Or something online. It's like math games for kids. And this dude was like moshing and bowing to us. It was insane. It was so fun. And they ended up buying like $300 worth of merch. And I was like, what is going on? I thought you guys were like broke ass college kids. But yeah, they were great to us. So thank you, Lexington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool because you kind of never know what you're going to get.
No, you do not. Again, like the college scene is just really fun though.
So going forward, you have 3 more singles that you're releasing.
Yeah.
Over what kind of time frame?
We're probably going to do every 2 months. The first one comes out December 4th. It's called Hey Now. And that is like straight up, unabashed, unembarrassed nostalgia mongering. This is like a 90s rock song, top to bottom. It's got like modern rock production on it, but like the song is about going back to the 90s, and it's like a very 90s guitar lick. And I was like, I'm gonna write a 90s banger, and vomited this out in like a matter of hours. I thought it was garbage at first. But there's actually a fun story behind this. I thought this song was garbage, and I was like, okay, well, whatever. We're not going to do anything with it. It was a fun little writing exercise. But when we went into the studio to record Overtime and No Man's Land, which are the next 2 singles that we have coming out, we did the whole band recording, and then I stayed behind with the producer to record overdubs. And as he was getting my guitar set up, the band had left. We like ran out to grab coffee, came back, get my guitar set up, and I was like, hey, can I play something for you before we do this? It's just something I'm working on. And he was like, yeah, sure. And so I played him the demo that I made, and he looks right at me. He goes, get the band back here right now. And so I called the band. The bassist couldn't make it because he had plans that night, but the drummer drove back from Antioch, which is like 40 minutes away. And we did it in 3 takes. The first take was him learning the song. The second take was refining it. And the third take is what we're putting out. And yeah, this is a song I didn't think was going to go anywhere, but when we like recorded it and produced it and added, harmonies and double track vocals, I'm like, man, if this is not a hit, nothing I write is ever going to be a hit. So I'm feeling really good about that song. Then Overtime's the next one. That's the sort of spoon sounding one that I talked about earlier. That one's about feeling like you're giving too much of your life to your job, maybe, and your job in the royal job sense, like whatever is taking you away from what you want to be doing, commitment wise, which for me is my job, but maybe some people is like taking care of somebody or like chores in the house or whatever, like just feeling like, man, I'm giving so much of myself to this, and I can't obsess. I'm obsessively thinking about it, and I don't really want to be. That's Overtime. That's like a little bit of a different feel from what we normally do. And then No Man's Land is the last one. And that, like I said, that's like a dance rock, loud. I don't own a convertible, but if I did, I would like put the top down and go down the highway blaring this one. So we just finished it. It just got back from mastering on Halloween. And I'm like, man, I kind of got to wait to put this out. This is a summer song. Putting this out in December is going to feel weird. So that's probably going to be like a April release date, I'm thinking.
Cool. Have you played all these live out?
Yes, we have. And they all get good reception. Overtime is my partner's favorite song of ours, which is nice. One of the cool things about being a musician is when everybody around you has a different favorite song, you're like, oh, wow. Maybe I'm good at writing songs because there's not like one clear winner.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you like the idea of your songs being so different?
I do. It's something that I kind of struggle with a little bit in that, like, I feel like sometimes when you listen to a great album, or you look at a great painter who is having like a period of their work, and you're like, man, what they're really doing is like iterating on one idea. Like Mark Rothko's paintings. Mark Rothko is like color blocks. That's what I do. And all of his paintings sort of look like that. Or, Picasso has like a blue period and everything is blue. And then he does sculpture for a little bit and everything is sculpture. Sometimes I listen to an album and I'm like, wow, a lot of this is like iterating on an idea, which is cool because it gives like a sense of unity. But the way that music works right now, I feel like people don't really listen to albums a ton anymore. So if I'm going to be releasing singles, I kind of want to be writing singles, and if it gets to a point where the singles are doing well enough that somebody's like, hey, I want to give you money to make an album, then I will maybe make things sound the same a little bit. I'll be like, oh, cool. You liked No Man's Land? Let me do like a dance punk album. You liked Overtime? Let me do like a slinky, funky album, you know? But for now, I'm just, wherever the wind takes me, the wind takes me.
I was going to ask about albums compared to singles, because I know I've talked to some people and they say that a whole album's kind of intimidating because you want to kind of like make a story or make it all feel like one whole project.
Yeah. Yes. And I think right now, the way that we're writing warrants singles, because the best albums are ones that sort of feel cohesive, right? And if I'm writing these songs at different times of my life and in different moods, and, you know, they're being produced in different studios at different times, and what I'm listening to has changed, like, it's going to sound disjointed, you know? Because we're using different tricks, we're using different guitars, different mics, different rooms, whatever. I feel like the best albums to me are the ones that it's like, I have a song, I'm going to go in and write an album around it, you know? Like the Viagra Boys album, I feel like, I don't actually know the story about that one, but, you know, it's one of my favorites of the year, and it all sounds super cohesive and the same. And I know it was written within the last year because Cave World was like a year and a half ago. Another favorite album from this year was the Lily Allen album. I thought was fantastic. West End Girl. I think it was called West End Girl. And like, you can tell that was like the same sessions that album came out of, you know, and it feels sort of like a portrait of her mind at the time. I have not been fortunate enough to have the time or the money to just, you know, book a studio for a full week and do 8 hours a day and record a whole album. I don't know what would come out of me if I did. Hopefully good stuff. But for right now, I'm like, yeah, singles I think are the way to go for the band. We did release an EP earlier this year in June. That was 3 songs that I sort of wrote around the same time, and we recorded all at the same time. So those, I was like, these sort of feel like a unit. Even though they're not really lyrically the same. Or even like from a songwriting perspective, that's similar. Sonically, they're all sort of in the same wheelhouse.
You're not opposed to it one day.
Definitely not opposed to it one day. I would love to. If I had, you know, like if I ever lose my job, just taking a day and, you know, setting up mics in my home studio and bringing the band over and be like, okay, I'm going to feed you guys breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but I want to do like a 12-hour marathon, write as many songs as we can, and see what comes out. Like, that's kind of appealing to me. Like those 48-hour film festivals or something, do that for music, I think would be really fun. Go in with no ideas, no preconceived anything, and just be like, we're going to write and shit out whatever happens. Yeah.
Have you ever tried to write with other writers?
Ish. Yes. Not in a from scratch way. I've never done that. I've never been like, hey, let's show up and write something. There have been times that I've been like, hey, I have this song. Can you come over and help me finish it? Or can I get your feedback on it? And things like that. But yeah, I've never just like sat down in an empty room with somebody and a guitar and been like, let's make a song. Well, actually, not since high school. In high school, I used to do that a ton. But yeah, not since high school.
So you've never been like featured on a song or had someone featured on your songs?
No, definitely not opposed to it though. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
I always like that idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be fun to do one like that writing session that I did. I think it would be fun to do that with another band, you know, bring 2 bands in and have like a joint EP sort of situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It'd have to be a completely different genre too.
Yeah. Well, Joel, our old drummer, he's in another band called Morbid Orchid. That's sort of like, Smashing Pumpkins sounding, like a little bit. It's still rocky, but it's more on like the shoegaze side of rock and less on like the dance side of rock. And I love them. They're one of my favorite local bands. And I think we would all write really well together. And I think like our tones sonically would be complementary towards each other, you know? Their guitarist Taylor is like this massive fuzzed out sound that I kind of do too. So I don't know, who knows? Maybe a tandem orchid sort of thing could be fun one day.
So you're talking earlier about having like the venue at your place.
Yeah.
How do you find people to play these?
Word of mouth has been really huge. The DIY touring community is small but mighty. And it's a lot smaller than people think it is. You're just like, wow, there's bands all over the place. Most of them are not going on tour. So the people who are actually doing the DIY tour thing, like, tend to know each other, which is kind of cool. So, having done a DIY tour, my name comes up in that sometimes. So we get referred to a lot. And yeah, word of mouth, people who have toured, who are active in that, who are booking tours for other people, it comes up to them. Yeah, is really, really the main way that we do it. And then people who have been to a show here and liked the vibe and want to host a show here, we tend to do like 2 to 4 act bills, you know? So we are, if one artist has heard of us, then we're like quadrupling our exposure on a given night, you know? Because it's like, oh yeah, someone's like, oh, I saw a friend of mine play guitar here. I want to play guitar here. And then they bring 3 other bands who have never played here before. There, boom, there's 3 more bands that know about us. So I've been keeping a roster of everybody who plays, and we have people from, I think, 14 different states who have come by, which is really awesome.
Awesome.
Have not gone international yet, but at our last show, someone's like, oh, I have a friend of mine who lives in Vancouver who's thinking about coming down to tour. Maybe I'll refer her here. And I'm like, yeah, let's go international, baby. Take a
like
worldwide.
a wall or something that they sign.
No, not yet. But this is actually funny. Last show, which was like 3 weeks ago, I started this new tradition. I was at an antique store and or a thrift shop, and there was this book called Listography that is like it gives you a music playlist prompt, and then you write it. So it's like, think of what are the best duets, and then it's like 20 blank lines or whatever. And so last show, I was like, hey, if all the performers could pick 3 pages and just write one song down, I figure I'll amass like a mass playlist of people who've played here, which could be kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Do you do like any vetting on these people? I mean, you just let whoever show up?
So I tend not to let people play here if I get a bad vibe, because it's my home. So if somebody is like rude, or I'll check like the DIY tour posting thing, and if people have been like, hey, this artist was kind of a jerk, I tend to, ghost people or be like, sorry, we're not available that night. If someone seems kind and respectful, that's kind of like my one barometer, where I would love to be genre agnostic. It's hard when you don't know what type of fans they might bring, It's like we've had hardcore shows here before, which the bands were great, but like the fans were ready to mosh, and I'm like, man, like you can't do that. This is a small space, and I hope I didn't like ruin anybody's night, by putting the kibosh on that. So that's kind of hard. I will say like the room feels best with small acts who are on the lighter side and like 30 to 40 people. It like feels super duper good. So whether that's like, we've had ambient music, we've had like some IDM people, we've had acoustic singer songwriters, we've had small bands, we have had full rock bands, we've had metal bands here. But like I will say my favorite is when it's just like between 1 and 3 musicians on stage at a given moment, and the crowd is a good size but not huge.
If people want to find you, find out where you're playing, learn about you, listen to your music, where would they go?
We are, as of right now, on all the streaming services and all of the social media services, subject to change in the near future. So we're on Instagram at Felix Tandem Music, and TikTok at, I think, just Felix Tandem. And yeah, Felix Tandem is the band. Max is the guy. Dane is the podcast host. And check out our new songs. Hope you like it. We don't have like a mailing list or anything, but if you want to get in touch, maybe I'll start one. Who knows?
You should. You never know. You might as well.
You never know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll start a podcast.
Yeah.
That's where people can hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I've never done one before this. I
Nice.
never even listen. I still don't even listen to podcasts.
Oh, I love podcasts. Yeah.
I know a lot of people love them, but like, I don't know. I can make it like 10 minutes in, and then I'm like, that's it.
You got to find the ones that work for you. There's so many like
Yeah.
different ones, you know, there's something for you out there. So if you can only make it 10 minutes, I'm going to recommend you a podcast called Bird Note Daily, where it's 90-second episodes, and they just tell you about a bird every day.
Yeah, no, I'd love that.
So check that one out. Bird Note Daily. There's my recommendation.
All right, Max. Well, hey, I appreciate you getting on here with me, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dane. This is a blast.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, man. Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.